Okay, we are already in the second month of 2026, and 2026 is a very wild time. Happy Black History Month for all who celebrate, for those who don't, whatever. When it comes to AI adoption, we are seeing a trend that the industry is actually slowing down. So, over 42% of companies who had previously invested in AI have now halted their AI pilots. Some of the reasons that they've halted the pilots is they're just not seeing the value that AI is supposed to provide, and so they're moving on to other technology. Now, this I can understand because AI is not a perfect tool. But as far as fashion and retail is concerned, we cannot afford to halt our pilots of AI because we need to solve some of these problems in a way that creates efficiency. And unfortunately, AI is the only tool that we can utilize to do so. My name is Jessica Couch. I'm a fashion and technology expert, and I go to conferences and do research so that you don't have to. As someone who studies technology adoption and is really adamant about integrating technology into fashion and retail, I can completely understand why AI adoption is slowing down. I wrote an article about this for PI Apparel's Seamless publication. People do not feel empowered or they do not have the resources that they need. They are not going to be gung-ho about implementing technology. And if you've ever worked in an organization and you've seen the amount of inefficiencies that exist, you will know that while technology adoption is needed, sometimes people just don't have the wherewithal to learn new technology, implement it, and also do so in a way where they don't feel like they're going to lose their job if they get it wrong. Now, this is super important because if people feel intimidated by technology, then the likelihood of them spending time to learn it and implement it diminishes greatly over time. You'll have a technology that you've paid a lot for, and it's not so much that it doesn't work, but the people that should be utilizing it or inputting quality data into it don't really know what they're doing, don't have resources to do it better, and they abandon the tool altogether. For more information about this, you should read my article on the Seamless publication. On a more practical level, there's also a lack of change management. When you're introducing anything new to organizations that have been doing the same thing in the same way for so long, then there's always going to be friction. Without someone to mitigate that friction or handhold employees and managers through these processes and also be readily available to answer questions, you can see how adoption could be lacking. I think that a lot of times people expect technology to be a magic wand and to produce results that are not realistic. When you are implementing a tool like AI, there has to be a really great understanding of the exact inputs that are going to go in, making sure they're quality, and an understanding of what outputs are going to be produced. Having a low quality type of data will produce low results. And to fix this, you would need to have a better understanding of things like prompt engineering and the data sets that you're entering into tools. Also, would need to manage your expectations around the outputs. If you're looking for some type of magic for it to happen where AI tools just solve all your problems, that isn't quite what to expect. But if you're looking for added efficiency, you should shift your expectations towards how do we measure the success around efficiency? Because that is what AI is really good with. It's great with automating tasks. It's great with drafting. It's great with synthesizing data. But again, if you don't know what your actual problems are, how would you expect a tool to figure it out? It's not a sentient tool, so it does need a human touch in understanding how to engineer and problem solve correctly. Lastly, data is often siloed. If you've ever worked in a department, you understand there's people that have a ton of knowledge. There are people that don't have the same amount of knowledge. And oftentimes there is no process to share knowledge, to share resources, or to make sure that everyone has the same baseline of learning and understanding no matter when they enter the organization and no matter what department that they are working. While those are basic issues that happen across all organizations, AI is actually doing really good things for fashion and retail, and that is where we need to focus. Starting with virtual try-on. For people who shop online and would like to see how outfits might look and come together, virtual try-on has created a way to resolve this issue. Now, if you were there for the polyvore era, you understand that people really love putting looks together. They love to be able to see how products will look because it helps people understand how it could look on their bodies, what they need to buy, and that can be super helpful when you're shopping online. However, what I'm not sure about is how virtual try-on is going to help drive conversions steadily. I do think that for some people, just needing to see outfits put together is really helpful. And for others, they'll have greater questions. There are a lot of tools that are now emerging that are better than others and that are helping to solve some of these issues. Take a look at the video that I did with Retail Boss on Zara's virtual try-on. To me, it was the most superior try-on that I've experienced for several reasons. And I think that it will be super helpful for people who are shopping online online with Zara trying to figure out what to wear. We've seen how AI tools like Raspberry AI can help with generating new designs. Now, for a while, when I was going to conferences last year, this was a big deal. Everybody wanted an AI tool that generated looks from sketches, prompts, or fabric. Now, this is a great area that we've seen improvement with AI, but again, it also depends on the quality of data that is given to these systems. When you're generating clothing, you really have to do so with understanding profit margins, limitations in your sourcing and supply chain, understanding what customers are looking for, perhaps being able to integrate past data like what sold well, what did not, and even understanding your grading system and sizing system. If a tool cannot utilize all of those pieces of data as parameters to create new looks, it could be a waste of time, or it may produce outputs that are not reasonable, feasible, or don't align well with your customer. These tools do exist and are helping designers and design teams stay afloat and come up with great and new ideas. AI has also been helpful in generating 3D and digital models. Now, a couple years ago, brands were not quite ready to implement this and customers were not quite ready to accept it. Levi's created some diverse or multicultural looking models and people went nuts about it. Levi's erroneously assumed that an issue that they needed to solve for was the creation of more diverse models because perhaps they misinterpreted some data or misinterpreted what customers were saying. When they released these digital models, people just really did not like them. Now, the timing was off and they didn't do a good job of understanding what their customers wanted, and as a result, they had to issue an apology. Similarly, Vogue decided to implement AI-generated models, and people also had a similar negative reaction. People even said that they would end their subscription with Vogue because they did not want to see AI-generated models when there's so many readily available models. Now, this just goes to show you that a mismatch between understanding what your customers need while you're trying to implement cool technologies that seem good can really cause friction that you can't afford. This is why we create frameworks. This is why we say that you have to bring in experts and include the voice of the customer, because not doing so can create a media disaster, but also ruin the experience for your customers, and you don't want to do that. It's not to say that AI generated models don't work. What I've also seen is there are a lot of companies coming into the space that are helping brands to develop really high quality AI models that they can use. In this case, it's helpful if you're a brand and you don't want to constantly cast models, or you can't go to Japan, or you can't go to these different places. AI can help you generate those models, those backgrounds, and look hyper realistic without you having to break the bank. And that's an example of how it does work. Now, this is great for brands who maybe want to get their products and extend their audience reach. But of course, you need a combination of both the traditional way and then utilizing some of the tech tools so that it's relevant for you and your team. In the same way, AI has helped to revolutionize 3D garments, because in the past, 3D garments kind of had this uncanny valley effect where it looked realistic, but perhaps not realistic enough. Now, this is a problem that has been solved with AI so that brands can have the ghost mannequin feel for their products, show their products in different ways so that people get excited about it and people may buy more as a result. This goes to show you that technology exists, but the implementation is the absolute key when you're thinking about utilizing AI tools. I believe that you need to figure out what's best for your organization. Larger organizations may want to implement AI tools internally. They may want to do that, again, to have a single source of truth for their employees. They may want to do this to optimize workflows, identify inefficiencies, data gaps, identify communication gaps so that the business overall runs more smoothly. Depending on the department, whether it's the design department, production department, marketing department, having AI tools that can help you to share data when it's necessary, having tools that helps you to document certain processes so that it's available for everyone who wants to utilize it will be super helpful into enhancing your business in general and to creating more revenue. So how can brands embrace AI? Regardless of what's going on with other enterprises or what you hear about AI not working, you can absolutely benefit off AI tools. Now, should you go out and just buy any tool? No, some of these things you could probably white label, but you have to make sure that you have quality data inputs so you get the quality output, as we have already mentioned. First, I would start with all of the needs of your customer, then work backwards. What's happening that creates friction with your customers? What makes your customers dissatisfied? Well, as a customer of brands, and from what I hear, customers hate when they don't get communication around things like late products. You could implement a system to mitigate that. If you know that shipping is going to be late, it should automatically send out something to the customer to reassure them that their products are coming. Now, another thing that I hear that customers don't like is when they don't get their products at all. So maybe you had a production issue, and these type of things happen. But predictive analysis can help you resolve that and deter customers from leaving you just because you had an issue with production. Maybe you could even implement AI tools that stops those issues from happening. You definitely need to implement AI around your supply chain. No matter what size of a brand you are, you need to make sure that you are acquiring the right products, the right fabrics, everything that you need to give the customer a good experience. And if something goes wrong, you need to know beforehand and you need to know how to quickly resolve it. All of these things AI can do for you. An extension of customer service is always a great way to use AI. And don't be lazy about it. Don't just create a bot that just says basic things to your customers. You can give it the right data so that each customer feels like they're having a more customized experience, or there are things that your AI tools can help resolve. Maybe customers have a default in your products and they can quickly send you pictures. AI can resolve that for you so that you can lessen the friction between you and your customer. AI is also really great at analyzing data, which you already know. Depending on the quality of inputs, again, you will get a certain type of output. When it comes to analyzing your sales data, or your profit margins, or anything that's important to running your business, in lieu of having a CFO or a dedicated team of business managers, you can absolutely build agents that do those type of things for you so that you can stay afloat, that your costing is correct, and you never have to worry about margins. AI agents can work across in-store and it can work online. But the most important thing that you absolutely have to do is identify those friction points, identify where there's inefficiency, properly identify where there are problems before we ever get to selecting the tool. This is exactly why I built the Tech with Intention framework. And I know I keep talking about it because it's so important. As a former product manager, I understand the gaps between the technology and the customers that you want to utilize it. I give you all of those details and secrets so that you and your team can utilize a framework, better understand your own friction points, better understand some of the problems that you're having, properly identify those problems, and then you can move on to understanding and picking a technology. This framework is available on luxorandfinch.com. So if you're thinking about figuring out where your inefficiencies are, figuring out how you want to utilize AI tools like agents or GPTs or chatbots or anything, start with the framework so that you can have success. This framework is built for companies of any size. So if you've been around for 20 years, if you're just starting, it's all the same. It will help you pick the right tools confidently. Go on luxorandfinch.com in order to get that framework. Make sure you also follow and subscribe to Fashion Technology 101 newsletter. I have a newsletter on Substack and a newsletter on LinkedIn, and yes, they're different, so subscribe to both. And follow me on Luxor and Finch for Instagram, and of course, my Instagram is _Jessica Veronica. Make sure you share this with your friends, your colleagues, people that you know that are starting out, or maybe people that you know that have a business and need a little more help. Tech is absolutely here to stay. It doesn't matter what's going on in other industries right now. AI can give you the competitive advantage that you need if you implement it right. So stay tuned for more fashion and technology news, and I will certainly keep you updated. Thank you.